And we'll have more on the life of Maestro Ravi Shankar coming up next. But first, as we heard earlier, negotiations between CPS and the teachers union resume today as the standoff enters its second week. CTU's House of Delegates, we understand, has convened this evening to discuss a proposal. So joining us now with more is Keyonna Payton, a member with the Chicago Teachers Union who teaches at Park Manor Elementary School on the city's south side. We should also mention about 4 minutes ago we did receive another update from the mayor's office as well as CPS CEO Pedro Martinez saying that negotiations were productive. They are waiting to hear back from the CTU and that they will update parents and the public as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Keyonna Payton, thank you for joining us. As we mentioned, we understand the House of Delegates is meeting this evening to discuss a proposal that probably provides a lot of hope for some teachers, especially some parents. What can you tell us about where negotiations stand so far?
Thank you so much for having me. Currently, so like you know, the House of Delegates are convening right now. That proposal that they're looking at, they will decide whether or not they need to bring it to the members, discuss it, go through it. Hopefully, it is something that is favorable for both sides and that we can get back to learning for our students and for our families.
And Keyonna, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically if leadership and those at the bargaining table, if they take it to the House of Delegates, it's not a done deal, far from it. But is that an indication that some progress has been made?
I am hopeful. I am hopeful. So no, it's not a done deal. It's not complete, but they're going to share what we have in front of us, what we have working for us or with us. And so that way, the delegates can decide if it's something that needs to go towards the members.
What do you know about the latest proposal and where we stand on some of those sticking points, issues like opt-out testing and COVID metrics, masking?
So the last that I've heard is that masking would be available. We would be getting some masks. I'm not certain the number. I'm not certain how many or who. I do know that for my school, Park Manor, we do have some KN95 masks available for teachers. So the hope is that we should be, hopefully we'll get some for students as well. The mayor was very strict on her stance as far as the opt-out testing. So she feels that it's morally repugnant. And so that's not going to happen as far as I'm thinking. So I don't know how far they got with that piece of the agreement or the proposal. The metric is the big one where we can actually decide or determine whether or not a school needs to be flipped completely to remote. And so those numbers specifically, I think, are the big points that they were trying to negotiate.
Okay, so then it sounds like the union is willing to move to remote learning on a school-by-school basis, dependent on the metrics that the two sides agree to.
I'm thinking so. So we'll know for certain when the House of Delegates convenes or finishes their meeting.
When we find out what's in the deal. Now, of course, all of this has meant that classes have been canceled for 4 days now, making an already difficult year for students even more turbulent. Here is a clip of Lane Tech sophomore Journey members from a press conference earlier today asking CPS and CTU to come to a solution.
I believe that it is unacceptable that students like me are not allowed to learn. I understand right now that things are in a tight spot, but students like me shouldn't be the ones who have to pay the price for it.
Keyonna, as a teacher and as a parent, what concerns do you have about how this is all impacting students?
I feel the same way that student does. So I have a 6-year-old who's a first grader in a CPS school. I also have a senior who's getting ready to graduate, and they want to learn. So it is absolutely unfair that the mayor feels that no learning is better than remote learning for a short period of time. We understand the negative effects and the things that we've had to endure with remote learning. However, some learning, giving students the opportunities to make up assignments, work on things, engage with each other is better than nothing at all. It is completely disheartening and unfair. And as an educator and a parent, something does need to happen. I fully agree with that student.
And, we're also hearing from multiple parent groups that, they and their children, they feel like they've been caught in the middle of this back and forth between the district and the union. What more do you think could be done to include parents in this conversation and the situation we all find ourselves in?
Parents are the driving force The union, we work together, we stand in solidarity, we work with our parents and with our students, but parents also have a voice. And so parents, as much as they possibly can, should stand up and make noise and say how they're feeling. Our parent advisory council at Park Manor was phenomenal in expressing their concern with returning to in-person learning, knowing that the cases were surging out of control. And so they were really part of the issue in making sure that our students were safe.
And we know that Park Manor Elementary CTU held a press conference there last week talking about how serious and significant the COVID cases were at that school, especially before the break. Give us a sense of what it's been like at Park Manor.
So right before break, we had about 12 staff members test positive who were vaccinated, about 25 students who tested positive, which allowed for about 75% of the building to be quarantined, 7 out of 10 classes on remote learning, and the principal even tested positive. So with all of that going on, parents made a decision. They kept their babies at home, the ones that were allowed to come into the building. And so with that being said, that Thursday or Friday before winter break, they didn't receive the test kits that CPS had provided. So we had no idea what was going to happen next. We didn't know what we were going to be walking into on January 3rd. And so I am the lead safety team chair at my school. And so we made a decision to work over break and help parents and get those kits out to parents on that Tuesday. The parents got the kits, they tested students that day. We had everything wrapped up and ready to go to FedEx, only for the test results not to be valid.
Right, we
So
heard
the
about
parents
that.
were
And
upset,
Keyonna,
we were upset.
I'm sure it's a challenging time. Before we let you go, we've got about 30 seconds because we know that teachers at Mount Greenwood Elementary are defying the union. They've held in-person learning today. What is your reaction to some of your fellow union members going back to school despite this action?
That is a very interesting stance. I think that's the best way I can put it. Every school is not the same. Every area, every part of the city is not the same. So they don't see the things that we do. And so we just kind of need to stand together as best as we can.
Okay. Keyonna Payton, we're all awaiting word from the union's House of Delegates and, of course, the city. Wishing you all the best of luck. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.